कैप्टन अंशुमन सिंह ऑपरेशन मेघदूत के अंतर्गत सियाचिन ग्लेशियर में चिकित्सा अधिकारी के रूप में तैनात थे। आपने 19 जुलाई 2023 को वहां स्थित चंदन ड्रॉपिंग जोन में हुई भीषण अग्नि दुर्घटना के दौरान नजदीक की फाइबर ग्लास हट में फंसे लोगों को सुरक्षित बाहर निकालने में मदद की। इसी दौरान मेडिकल इन्वेस्टिगेशन शेल्टर को आग की चपेट में आता देख वो अपने प्राणों की परवाह न करते हुए उसमें कूद पड़े ताकि जीवन रक्षक दवाइयों और उपकरणों को बचाया जा सके। तकरीबन 17,000 फीट की ऊंचाई पर चल रही तेज हवाओं के कारण आग की निरंतर बढ़ती लपटों ने पूरे शेल्टर को अपनी गिरफ्त में ले लिया और भरसक प्रयासों के बावजूद उन्हें बचाया नहीं जा सका। कैप्टन अंशुमन सिंह ने असाधारण बहादुरी एवं त्याग का परिचय देते हुए देश हित में अपना सर्वोच्च बलिदान दिए। सम्मान ग्रहण करेंगी उनकी धर्मपत्नी श्रीमती स्मृति एवं माता श्रीमती मंजू सिंह।
You have one set of people who are always finding faults with what is wrong with India. Ye kharab hai, ye bura hai, India is doomed, and dictatorship and all those words. They're always questioning us. They're always questioning India, Bharat as a country. On the second hand, you have a group of men who are ready to die at one order, at one go. So, these two people, me being from the army, me as an army wife, I see both of them. And these guys, the soldiers, they don't question anything. They're ready to die anytime. So for them, coming back, killed in action, wrapped in a tricolor, is a matter of honor. They don't question, they don't question anything. This is their land. This is their motherland. They're ready to give their blood to it.
नमस्ते, स्वागत है आपका इंडिया दिस वीक के नए एपिसोड में। मैं हूं आपकी होस्ट आमना बेगम खालिद बेग के साथ।
Assalamu alaikum, namaste, hello to all our viewers of India This Week by Amna and Khalid. Today we're joined by Ambreen Zaidi. Welcome Ambreen Zaidi ji. She's a renowned columnist for Times of India, author of the best-selling book called Warrior Widows. And we've been seeing a lot of images which, tug at our hearts, make us weep in the last 1 week. We're seeing all the families of army bravehearts who have died in the line of action receiving the bravery awards from the Honorable President at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. And as we could see all these videos, and we can see the proud mothers but shattered to proud wives and everybody in the family who's receiving these awards on behalf of those who sacrifice themselves for the nation ताकि we all are secure.
अमरीन जी, आपने अभी बात की फैमिली के बारे में, मार्टियर्स की, तो आपकी जो बुक है वो भी इसी पे बेस्ड है। तो मैं चाहूंगी स्टार्ट करना वहीं से कि आपने एक्चुअली ये डिसाइड क्यों किया और क्या बैकग्राउंड है इस बुक की, आपने क्यों इस सब्जेक्ट को चूज किया?
Amna, as an army wife myself, we have a lot of welfare programs in the Indian Army for the widows of the soldiers, for the children, the orphans of the soldiers, for ex-servicemen. So in the course of action, we get to interact with a lot of widows, the war widows. And basically, I had myself seen a lot of deaths of very close friends, family friends, postmates, juniors. And my son had lost his best friend's father. We were living together in separated family accommodation. And in front of our eyes, we saw a family getting totally destroyed, you know. So that is that was always there in my mind. And I was working with a lot of during my career as a journalist with a lot of newspapers, and I always used to write about the armed forces, army, and my columns used to be called Olive Green, Our Heroes. And that is when I realized that there's very little awareness about the armed forces and what they do, and especially the families and the sacrifices of the soldiers. So that's when I decided that we need a full-fledged documentation of the stories and the books to come out. And now there are a lot of books which are coming out. Retired officers are writing books, and ladies are writing books. But earlier there wasn't any information about them. So that's when I felt that we need to do it.
Ambreen, in the last few days, as we saw the families, taking the awards on behalf of their brave hearts who died in the line of action, and some who were lucky where the brave hearts, survived and they were taking the awards themselves. The wives mostly said, and this is something you would relate to as well, that when they are on the battleground, they are in a sensitive location, fighting terror outfits, that those are times which are very anxious for army families, when that call sometimes takes a delay in coming, when it comes and it's not a call from them. Tell us something about these situations, that when, as an army
But
wife, how tough is it?
yes, Khalid, as an army wife myself, and I believe every army wife would relate to it. Our husbands get posted, a field posting and a peace posting. A field posting is where they're posted at the sensitive area where the family cannot go along, and a peace posting is where we all stay together. So yes, the field postings are the times when you are always on the edge, and there were times when we would not get a call from him long periods of time. There were no mobiles at that time, and there are certain postings, very sensitive postings, where even mobiles are not allowed. All right, so you don't know what's happening. So it is very anxious, but then you have to put up a very brave front, because you have little kids in front of you. You have old parents, always asking about their son. Hey, kuch pata chala, kuch khairiyat mili. Do you know where he is? So you have to put up that mask. No, everything is fine. Yes, he's fine. That that things just comes from within. You have to, and inside, there is a fear. You're scared. But I think God gives you that strength to, you know, take whatever comes your way with your chin up and deal with it. So I guess we all learn it along the way and deal with whatever life throws at us.
Amna?
Ambreen ji, I was watching your some of interview and you said that you thought to become a voice of voiceless. So, I mean, I was very curious to know that why you would use that word voiceless. Do you think that the family of martyr don't get enough platform, or what was the reason basically for that?
Anna, when I had set out to write about these soldiers and the wives or the families of the soldiers, there was very little awareness about them. So there were very, very exceptional stories of sacrifice, struggle, and rising from the ashes of the wives, which I felt no one knows about. That is when I felt, and these ladies, they just, I get isolated, especially the widows in our society. They're a very, isolated lot. They're not invited to weddings or any good function. They're, calling them to these functions is a taboo, and unlucky. Some call it unlucky. So they become recluse, and they don't want to. Even for me, like I have 30 short stories in my first book. Uh, for that, I must have met almost 65 to 70 ladies, and I would talk to them And, only if they were ready to talk about it, would I go ahead and write about them. And once I write about them, I would again send the draft to them to see if this is how they want the story to go. And that is how it took place. And there were times when I met certain ladies and they went numb. They could not talk about their grief. Some did not want to relive the trauma. So there's so many psychological things attached to it. So I thought, okay, let me be the one to take their stories forward. Let the nation know what kind of strong women we are having with us.
अमरीन, आपका जो मंथली कॉलम है टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में, उसमें आपने लास्ट कॉलम में लिखा था बड़े दुख के साथ कि ऑल दिस बिकरिंग दैट यू सी इन द पार्लियामेंट, and then you said this whole politicization about the slogan, and you said for the Indian Army guy, he is defending everyone, and it's very painful that people like army being one of the most secular institutions in India and defending every political party irrespective of even those ideologies which seek their annihilation. You said that and it's so sad to see that that Jai Hind is what army believes in, and here there was this whole bickering. So if you could elaborate that, why were you hurt, and what how does it make you feel?
That is a very important point, Khalid. Thank you for bringing this up, because as we see it now, you have one set of people who are always finding faults with what is wrong with India. Ye kharab hai, ye bura hai, India is doomed, and dictatorship, and all those words. They're always questioning us. They're always questioning India, Bharat as a country. On the second hand, you have a group of men who are ready to die at one order, at one go. So, these two people, me being from the army, me as an army wife, I see both of them. And these guys, the soldiers, they don't question anything. They're ready to die anytime. So for them, coming back, killed in action, wrapped in a tricolor, is a matter of honor. They don't question, they don't question anything. This is their land. This is their motherland. They're ready to give their blood to it. They don't even care for their families. So I was so hurt after that sloganeering in the parliament. There's Jai Maharashtra, Jai Bhim, Jai Meme. Boys, Jai Hind was lost somewhere. A slogan, a country for which there's a big number of soldiers who are ready to die anytime. Even the veterans, if you speak to the veterans now, even the veterans are ready. Send us to the borders and we'll come back as winners. Ya to mar ke aayenge ya maar ke aayenge. That is what they say. So that is what had hurt me very badly.
Yeah. इसी पे आगे मैं क्वेश्चन पूछूंगी अमरीन जी, इसी सब्जेक्ट पे, कि एक बार मैंने आर्टिकल पढ़ा था इन द वायर एंड दे यूज दिस वर्ड कोल्ड ब्लडेड मर्डरर फॉर द आर्मी पर्सनल, and we have seen these kind of ideas also getting propagated by the leftist platform, and it somehow snatches away the humanity of the soldier or anyone who's serving the Indian nation basically. So as you have seen them as as a common, how they behave as a husband, as a son, as a brother, so I want to understand from you, how do you see them, and how would you address this idea basically?
See, calling a soldier's action as a cold-blooded murder is certainly not in a good taste, because you and I were not there in the situation that they were in. So they took a call as per the situation. And I'll again say, nobody is perfect, but then don't just judge a situation by the way it has been projected to you. There have been so many counter-insurgency operations, CIOps, where we have seen our soldiers getting killed, our trap. So you have to take a call then and there. So questioning a soldier is certainly something which I would definitely not like. Also, I have also interacted for my second book, which is on the disabled soldiers. I've interacted with the soldiers who've been disabled in the line of duty. Yet, through their sheer determination, they were disabled when they were captain, and they went on to become major general and also the vice chief general Oberoi, passing all the physical ability tests and with all the able-bodied soldiers. So you feel very proud. I am very proud of my soldiers. No matter what the world says, I am very proud of them and whatever they do.
So, I mean, my father was in Indian Navy, and my first reaction was that, like, they're talking about the people like they don't have any emotions, they don't have any discipline. While I remember how my father used to tell us they used to have more responsibility to behave in a certain way when they are in the society.
हाँ.
तो आप देखेंगे कि उनके ऊपर ज्यादा बल्कि रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होता है, वो जो उनको जो कंसिक्वेंसेस फेस करने पड़ते हैं अगर वो लॉ ऑर्डर को नहीं फॉलो करते हैं, वो नॉर्मल सिविलियन से भी अलग होता है. And despite that, I mean, they are very responsible human being, even I have found, because of their discipline, what they learn in the defense services. So इस तरह के word, I think, the reason behind it basically to portray their image where they don't have any emotions, basically.
And they are what they are basically for a reason that the security of the entire nation is in their hands. And that's a big, big task. So that is why they behave the way they behave. And everyone has emotions. Everyone has a family to come back to. And but then they put their nation first always. So that is the beauty of their profession.
So, Ambreen, in general, amongst army families, how do they view when ultra leftists use words as murderers for them, terrorists in uniform? Is it something they just don't bother with, or is it something they just brush off?
See, once you wear that uniform,
Hmm.
it's only your country, your nation, your motherland that matters the most. People will talk, the dogs will bark. It makes no difference. It makes no difference. For them, for soldiers, it's just their motherland which comes first, their nation which comes first.
Okay. So, what I understand, it doesn't bother the families, neither the people wearing the uniform.
Families, it does,
Okay.
because, they're talking about their fathers or their sons or their, brothers,
Mhm.
people maligning their image.
Mhm.
We do feel bad. Families do feel bad. But the soldiers, hota bhi hai to they just brush it aside because they know what they're doing.
Mhm.
We also know that our country is in capable hands and there's no point judging them
Right.
for what they're doing.
Also, Amreen wanted to ask you a particular perspective. There is this huge section of nationalists for whom they value what the armed forces do on a day-to-day basis. There is also a section which we've already spoken about who belittle everything, right? And just watch them actually as enemies, right? And the truth is somewhere down. You cannot have extreme hero worship also, and you cannot have this as well. Amongst army families, amongst an author like you who has documented a brilliant book like Warrior Widows, how does the average army person want to be looked? I mean, does he neither want to get this extreme hero worship where everything is seen through that nothing, everything's perfect? There cannot be elements who are not in sync with the army ethos, and then at the same time there's these two things. So on an average, what is the general sentiment of a regular army folk? How does he want to be just viewed? And and sometimes it's just like I've spoken there, like we're doing our job, so let's get a sense of balance there also. So how do you see it, both as an insider and also as an outsider who's viewing the families through the work that you're doing?
Well, a soldier sees himself as a soldier and nothing else.
Okay.
Nothing else comes first for him. His duty, his passion, his duty towards his nation
Okay.
is what is of utmost importance to him. So what others think about him or what media projects him about doesn't bother them at all.
Okay.
As long as they're doing their job to their satisfaction and to the best of their ability, they really don't care. I've not seen any of the soldier being bothered about what media is talking about them.
All right.
Yes, there are incidents where certain issues are blown out of proportion, where you do want to, voice your opinions, but then next day it's just another day, new set of duties, and walk ahead.
Okay.
That is
So the commitment to the work is so clear that nothing else basically matters or gets.
there are too many threats inside and outside. As you can see, our neighbors, we don't know at what time who will do what.
Right.
Kashmir was such a beautiful place for the last few years or months.
Right.
And suddenly now Jammu region is being,
Mhm.
attacked. So they have to be prepared for such incidents rather than opinion of people of what they're thinking or how they're thinking.
Right. Right.
तो
Amna,
अमरीन या अमरीन जी बात कर रही हूँ फैमिली की, जो मार्टियर्स की फैमिली है। तो आप हमें बताइए कुछ इश्यूज के बारे में जो आपको लगता है कि बहुत जरूरी है हाईलाइट करना, और किस तरह से हमारी जो स्टेट गवर्नमेंट है वो उनको हेल्प करती है, और कहाँ पे उन्हें और जरूरत है चीजों को मैनेज करने की।
आमना, एक तो सबसे पहले जरूरत है अवेयरनेस की। आम जनता में, जनरल पब्लिक is hardly aware of our soldiers and their families and the issues that they go through. So that is one thing that I talk about, that you all have Zilla Sainik Kalyan Board. वहाँ पे पूरा list होता है. If you want to help a family or you want to know about a family, of course, you'll be questioned first कि आपको क्यों पता करना है. But if your intentions are right, there are people out there who can give you, information. You can help people. Now with the help of social media, there are so many people who have come out to help these families. सबसे बड़ा आजकल जो issue है, as we mentioned earlier also, is about the finances. That is a major issue with the families, especially if the soldier is killed in the line of duty, because the families are not aware of the finances, the investments, the funds, where the soldier has invested. So I believe financial literacy is of utmost importance at this point of time. See, nobody is prepared for that dark day. And every family member prays that the soldier husband or a son or a brother or dad, they come back home safely. But even then, if you're in a profession where your life is at risk, we all should be aware of things which will matter to us in due course of time. So that is what I feel is needed with all this going on.
I just want to ask this part कि जो इमोशनल उस वक्त जो इमोशंस होते हैं या जो ट्रॉमा होता है उसको मैनेज करने के लिए किस तरह का सपोर्ट मिलता है, या फिर वहां पे और ज्यादा काम करने की जरूरत है।
See, army is there for the soldiers and their families all the time. They have their welfare schemes, they have their support system, offices dedicated to the families of the soldiers killed in action. But finally, the family has to come back to the civilian setup. And they have to face the world. They have to do things which they have never done before. So that is where we feel, as a normal, common citizen of India, if we see a family of a brave heart, we should just lend them a shoulder. बस किसी का हाथ थाम लो. हो सकता है उन्हें नहीं जरूरत हो, but just having this thought कि okay, I have somebody to fall back on is something very rare, something very special. That is something that we all can do.
Amreen, in your monthly article in Times of India, you're always educating about, life within army, and, you also touch upon a lot of nationalistic issues. So wanted you to also educate us about, you spoke about in one of your articles that we don't use, once our brave hearts die in the line of action, we don't use the word martyr or shaheed. So to educate civilians, rest of us, what is it that can be used, and what are the terms that should be used, and what are the terms that are not used?
So the Ministry of Defense and also the Army headquarters have come out with 12 such terms.
Okay.
Jaise Veer Gati Prapt, Veer or brave hearts, killed in the line of duty, supreme sacrifice. These are certain words which are killed in action. These are some words or phrases that we can use for our fallen soldiers. We
Right.
can use. But martyrs and shaheed, we've been told not to use because they have some religious connotations.
Okay.
You know, so no, the soldiers die for the country. They sacrifice their life for the country. So to give them their due respect, these are the terms given by the army and the Ministry of Defense to be used to give them their due respect.
Sure. Amna?
आमरीन जी, आपने अपनी बुक के बारे में बात कर रही थी आप, कि जब आप बुक लिख रही थी तो किस तरह की प्रॉब्लम्स आप फेस कर रही थी। मैं चाहती हूँ प्लीज आप दर्शकों को बताइए कि कैसे आपकी बुक, बहुत सारे जो पब्लिशर थे वो पब्लिश करने से भी मना कर रहे थे, और बाकी क्या भी आपने प्रॉब्लम फेस किए के बारे में थोड़ा।
Warrior Widows, Amna, was the first book ever written on the widows of the Indian Army, the true life accounts. So many publishers felt, and they said it on my face, कि क्या ये तो repeat है ना, कैसे husband शहीद हो जाता है, and how they carry on with their lives. And I tried to assure them कि भाई, a lady living in Mizoram has a different set of issues and struggles, while a lady in Rajasthan has a completely different setup. So every story is different. Every story is very inspiring in their own way. So there's no repetition. Yes, they all have lost their husband, but the way they've taken on the life, the struggles of the life that has thrown on them is totally different. And this needs to go out in public. But they were not convinced. They were not happy. And I was too shocked because when a soldier is killed in action, the whole media, as you must have seen, is in their house and, you know, pushing the mics into their mouths, the grieving family members and asking them questions. But you go to that very same house a week later, you'll find nobody. So when you want to write about these families, they're not ready to publish. That had hurt me the most. And I had not written for almost 2 to 3 months, not a single word, because I was not able to take it. Okay, even a sacrifice of a soldier or his family is commercialized. They're looking at the sales of the book and nobody will read. And one day I tweeted about it, and then a lot of publishers and publication houses came forward to publish my book. But then I felt very comfortable with a publishing house called Saber and Quill, which is still run by retired army officers. And I felt that they will, you know, understand my emotions and why I want to write this book. And rest is history. They published my book, and Rajnath Singh ji, he liked the book, and then he also penned a message for the book, and then he asked me to get the book translated into Hindi, and so that it reaches the masses. So now with my second book also, which is on the disabled soldiers, again there was no book on them. That again was a challenge, but then the soldiers helped me from one soldier to the other, reaching out to them, their problems. And that is how I could finally write my books.
Ambreen, your book, I mean, Warrior Widows has documented, you said 60 to 70 warrior widows across the length and breadth of India. It also coincides, I mean, we just finishing 25 years of Kargil War, and that obviously also saw so many soldiers die in the line of action. But it also had soldiers who were disabled permanently post, you know, their heroics there. And you said your second book is about them. So thoughts on 25 years of Kargil and now what your second book will be, and life of those disabled soldiers.
So yes, I do have, my second book is on the disabled soldiers. When you have so many soldiers who are getting killed in action, imagine the number of soldiers getting wounded and wounded for life. So I do have soldiers from Kargil War. I have Major D.P. Singh, in my book, who's the India's first Blade Runner. He's done everything and anything that is impossible, seem impossible for a person who's an amputee. But then if you see, he's also shared a picture, which is there in my book as well. His entire body is full of sharpnels and wounds of the war. And still he has issues, he has health issues, yet he does not give up. He's still there motivating people, giving lectures at best forums, and talking about his and bravery and the bravery of the soldiers of the Indian Army. And on 25 years of Kargil War, I wish we had not lost so many of our soldiers. There were 527 of them, and a lot of them were wounded, and a big chunk of them is still, unsung. A lot of us don't know about them. Yeah, it's a mixed emotion, but thanks to our soldiers that we won the war.
अमरीन जी, मैं थोड़ा सा इस पर आई होप इट्स ओके, मैं थोड़ा पॉलिटिकल क्वेश्चन पूछना चाह रही थी। तो हमारे जो सोल्जर्स हैं जो ये सब फेस करते हैं, उसमें पाकिस्तान का भी बहुत हाथ है। And then a lot of like voices, even I believe we should not have any kind of relationship with Pakistan until unless they give up on this entire idea of terrorism. तो आप कैसे देखती हैं, मतलब इस चीज को आप सोचती हैं कि डिप्लोमेसी और ये अलग होनी चाहिए, या फिर एक डिप्लोमेटिक लेवल पे भी हमें कुछ स्टैंड लेना चाहिए?
No, we should have a certain stand, a firm stand against Pakistan, because they are the reasons we have lost our soldiers. They are the reasons for all the wars. They are the reasons for the terrorist attacks that we keep having in Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan-sponsored terrorism is a reality. And how can you be friends with somebody who is just refusing to, be friends? You try and shake a hand with them, but no, they don't, you cannot trust. At least we cannot trust them. The
Right.
kind of attacks that they do, they have to stop that. If they want, if they want to be friends with India, they have to control their activities, the terrorist camps, the militancy that is there. It has to be stopped. This proxy war by Pakistan has to be stopped before they even think of being friends with India or anything else.
So you want to ask something, Khalid?
I have a last question, Ambreen ji. I know this is going to be difficult for you because you have, in the course of your book, Warrior Widows, interviewed about 50 to 60 heroic warrior widows. But if you could share one or two who left the most impact on you and you would want to tell in a brief thing something about the experience of. I know it's tough because all of them are precious to you. All of them laid out their hearts to you and, spoke about their most sacred loss. But something which at least one or two, that doesn't mean you don't others you don't value because they've added to your book and those stories have come out, but one or two which in whatever way impacted you the most and something you want to share, and then people can buy the book to read the others.
Okay, so Khalid, I've written two books.
Right.
One is The Warrior Widows, the other one is Soldiering On.
जी,
The Hindi version has just come out, Josh, Jazba and Junoon.
जी,
तो Warrior Widows में तो बहुत सारी ऐसी stories हैं and amazing stories of valor. But there's one story which has always has been with me throughout, is of a Kashmiri woman, wife of a soldier of a territorial army, and they had 3 sons, and the elder one was in class 12th, or ghar mein some mama or somebody, some uncle had bought a car. So young boy in his teens, and he came home from school, or he told his mother कि mama मैं एक चक्कर मार के आता हूँ, देखता हूँ गाड़ी कैसी है. And she said, हाँ ठीक है जाओ. And he took the car, and he met with a very bad accident. And he was in ICU, he was in coma. Father was at a forward post in Kashmir somewhere. He was informed, and father came home, and in 2 days' time, the child passed away. It was a it is very heartbreaking. And as they were preparing the body for the last rites, पता ही है ऐसे मौके पे क्या होता है कि पूरा का पूरा अब शहर गांव खानदान सभी लोग आ जाते हैं, and mother and father were sitting there grieving, crying, सब कुछ हो रहा था. What nobody realized was that the terrorists in the region were keeping an eye on the father, the soldier. कि ओके बेटे की डेथ हुई है तो सोल्जर तो आएगा ही ना, फादर तो आएगा ही. And they barged in and killed the father too, बॉडी के सामने बच्चे की. वो लेडी मुझसे कहती है, द विडो, शी टेल्स मी के मैम उस दिन मेरे घर से 2 जनाजे निकले थे. और आज वो लेडी जो है उस रीजन की जितनी भी विडोज हैं, जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस हो गई या टेरिटोरियल आर्मी हो गई, बीएसएफ हो गया, उन सब की आवाज बन के उनके सबके मुद्दे उठाती है. एंड शी's become such a strong lady herself. और वो कहती है वो जो जिला सैनिक उनका भवन है, ऑफिस है, जब भी वो जाती है किसी का इशू लेके या कुछ भी लेके, कहती है सब लोग मुझे इतनी इज्जत देते हैं, एक वीर नारी के तौर पे मुझे इतना ज्यादा सम्मान मिलता है, मुझे अपनों ने छोड़ दिया लेकिन इंडियन आर्मी ने मुझे अपना लिया. और मैं वहां जाती हूँ तो मुझे लगता है मैं अपने मैके आ गई हूँ. So that is one story that has stood with me, stayed with me throughout. और ऐसे ही for my second book, I have a story. The editor of the book is a soldier who was hit here in his spine, and due to which he is not able to even breathe on his own. So he's got a pacemaker fixed here, and which helps him breathe. But then he does all his work. He's totally and completely bedridden. He needs 2 caretakers for even a little bit of his work. But he's got an iPad fixed on his hospital bed, and with the voice recognition software, he does the work. And when I went to meet him, and with that stern voice of a soldier, like the way they speak, he wished me, "Good afternoon, Ambreen ma'am, how are you?" And he had all the details about me. He knew where we were posted and when we were posted, and he asked me about my children and everything. "And you seem to know a lot about me." He said, "Yes, mama, the day I got to know that you're coming, I researched about you and I got to..." Nah, I said, "You are a very..." And he was looking straight on the bed with a big smile on his face. I said, "You seem to be a very smart army officer. Will you help me edit the book?" And Khalid, that glow on his face, I will never forget it. He asked me, "Ma'am, you will allow me to edit the book?" I said, "Why not? If you can dig out so much information about me, you very well, help me edit my 80, 90,000 words and edit the book." So we had our time it was not easy because he is on heavy medication. He would work in the nights and I would, so we did it together. And I'm so proud that he edited my book. And I wanted to dedicate a initial chapter to him, my editor, my pride. And as I was about to send my manuscript to the publishers, I sent it to him just to have a look to the entire book because he was a very good, he would, every comma, every full stop, grammar, everything he took care of. He said, "No, ma'am, please don't use my name as an editor. No. Just if you want to feature my story, let it be like a normal story like other soldiers, because these are the stars which you have put together. I've only polished them with a brasso. Brasso is a liquid that we get, the soldiers' kit, which is used to, polish their stars here, the ranks. So, ma'am, the stars were collected by you. I only polished them with brasso." Those were his words. Imagine a person who needs help even to breathe, doing this kind of a job. So I'm very proud of him. And his story has always been a very remarkable one to share with everyone.
Thank you. Simply incredible. Simply incredible.
काफी आई वुड से कि प्रेरित करने वाली कहानियां हैं ये. कहानियां नहीं है, रियल लाइफ स्टोरीज हैं ना. मेरे पास अब कोई सवाल नहीं है, बट मैं यही बोलना चाहूंगी अपने व्यूवर्स से कि प्लीज डू गेट दिस बुक. इसको पढ़िए, बांटिए अपने समाज में, हमारे बच्चों को पढ़ाइए. क्योंकि मुझे याद है कि जब मैं छोटी थी और मैंने अब्दुल हमीद की कहानी पढ़ी थी, परमवीर चक्र, उसने कितना मुझे प्रेरित किया था, इंस्पायर किया था। और इसी से हमें मालूम पड़ता है कि प्राइस क्या है हमारी आजादी की, क्या
Yes.
हमारे लोग पे करते हैं। तो इसलिए बहुत जरूरी है ये अवेयरनेस फैलाना। खालिद।
Ji haan, it's been an absolute pleasure and honor to have Ambreen ji share this spectacular book, and also we wish her best for the Hindi publication of her second book and all these incredible stories. We would want to have her regularly and talk about other issues which concern the nation. Also, once this episode is out, we will also be sharing in the first second comment the link for the book. The book is Warrior Widows, and please do buy it and share it and speak about it. And thank you so much, Ambreen ji, for gracing
Thank you,
us with
Khalid
your
and
presence.
Anna, for
थैंक यू।
having me over.
Jai
Jai
Hind.
Hind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
जय